Hello. How are you ladies doing, and men? You laugh. How are you? Cool. All right. Well, when I was asked to speak at this event today, I initially had thought to say no, if I'm being honest. I thought this is a hugely controversial subject, and I didn't know if it was something that I wanted to get my hands into quite yet. But then I thought, I'm a woman. I am lucky enough to live in a country where certain rights are afforded to me. I am able to speak and have my voice be heard, which is a lot more than many people can say. And I'm here with my own opinions and views, and grateful for the opportunity to speak with all of you. And I must say, in the reception, it was really lovely to have so many women come up and say to me, it's so important that you're here, and thank you for being here. And it just makes you realize, like we've talked about, that this is a problem that's ongoing and something that you have to stand up for. And certainly, if older women of our generation can stand up for it, I can be unafraid to do so myself. We all have to keep going. So I'm here unafraid. I have done an extraordinary amount of traveling. By nature of my job, a fair amount is expected, but in the past 6 months, far more than usual. And on a visit to Cambodia in December, I spent time with children who have been sold by their own families into the sex industry. Many of them are as young as 4 years old, and often are sold for as little as $20 American. Now, my guide there is a woman by the name of Somali Mom, who is a huge inspiration to me. She had escaped from that kind of life, and she has launched a crusade to educate and empower women and girls in the same position. What she loves to say is love. And when you meet her, you just feel everything that she stands for, and these girls are so incredible. Now, leaving Cambodia, I began to think about what I had learned and what that meant for my feelings about what choices women here have and how people are trying to limit those choices. I'd like to tell you a story of a young girl living in Idaho. This woman woke up one morning to begin her day. There was nothing special or particular about this day. It was a day just like any other. And it changed when it wasn't just like any other day, because she discovered that she was pregnant, an accidental, unintended pregnancy. For many women, the news of being pregnant would bring feelings of elation, joy, excitement. But for this woman, the same news brought feelings of shock, fear, isolation. She'd been careful, she had done her best to protect herself, and it was not the right time for her to become pregnant. She needed somewhere to turn, needed to speak with someone who could help guide her towards the right decision for her future. But in the state of Idaho, a state with an anti-choice governor, House, and Senate, the law subjects women seeking abortion services to biased counseling requirements and mandatory delays. If young women make it past these demeaning and emotionally traumatizing barriers, the state further restricts their access to what few abortion services there are by mandating parental consent. Now, if a young woman is lucky enough to have a parent that they can speak to about an accidental pregnancy, and that parent supports them to give them consent, 95% of the counties in Idaho have no abortion provider. So we continue on our young woman's story. She struggled with this decision, struggled with a choice about what was right for her and her future. It was an incredibly difficult decision to make. And she chose to terminate her pregnancy. Now, she would have to travel 7 hours to get that procedure. I don't know about you, but I don't drive from LA to San Francisco, which takes 6 hours because it seems like a very long time. You can imagine in this state what that would do to you. She would also have to find a way to afford it. She went to her mother and luckily got the money she needed for the procedure, but still needed to find somebody to drive with her for those 7 hours. So she confided in a friend and asked for her help and support. Her friend agreed, and they set out on their very long journey. The young woman spent the entire drive agonizing over her decision, second-guessed whether or not she was doing the right thing. The friend sat quietly by her side and said very little. Now, when she arrived at the clinic and spoke with the doctor who would perform her abortion, she still struggled with feelings of confusion and isolation. The doctor, recognizing that this young woman was still unsure about her decision, recommended that she take some time to think about it, consult with her family. The young woman went to the parking lot and called her mother. It was only then that her mother revealed that she had had an abortion and that it had been the right decision for her and her family. The young woman turned to her best friend, the same woman who had sat silently for the past 7 hours, to share her mother's story, and the friend revealed that she also had had an abortion. The young woman was shocked. Even the women closest to her, women she had confided in with her struggle to make a decision, had been unable to share their own stories with abortion until the very last minute. When she heard her mom's story and her friend's story, the young woman felt relief, comfort, and resolved that she was also making the right choice for herself. She returned to the clinic and received the care that she needed. Now, this is not my story, but it is the story of a real young woman. Sharing our stories help other women share their stories, stories that they have kept a secret. It helps other women know that they are not alone when making a decision to terminate a pregnancy. This young woman got lucky. She found emotional support where she was not sure that she would find it. But we all know that many women may not have the network of support that the young woman in the story was lucky enough to have. If you share your story, you might give somebody else the courage and clarity that they can't find elsewhere. Yes, my generation has the right to choose under the law of the land, and since the Supreme Court decided Roe versus Wade. But do we really have the right to choose if there are so many obstacles in accessing reproductive health care in so many states across the country? This is the question facing my generation, and like the generations that fought so hard to guarantee that we had the right to choose, we care deeply about this issue. To those convinced that abortion should be illegal, that are pro-life, what do they say about children who may grow up without an education, a home, food on the table? Why are we letting our government and not doctors make decisions about a medical procedure? Yes, we are a combination of many religions, many beliefs, and aren't we meant to be free to choose? And if the choice, which will always remain the most difficult, probably one of the most difficult choices you've ever made in your entire life, is to indeed terminate a pregnancy, I feel that they should be allowed to do so. We all know from tales of the times that just because something is made to be illegal doesn't mean that it won't be done. Women will seek abortions, whether they are legal or not, which we know to be true. Making abortion illegal will simply make it less safe. So I'd now like to welcome 4 people from the rising generation of pro-choice leaders who are part of this evening's co-chair families. Please welcome Eden Frazier, Jason Friend, Alex Wolf, and Sabrina Warby to the stage.